Hello everyone, this is the Mining Geologist and I'm back again with another very exciting and very informative tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at Micromine again, and to be specific, Micromine Origin and beyond, the latest version currently, which is the version 2022. By the way, if you would like to learn about the story of the new branding, Micromine Origin and beyond, and what is the difference between Origin and beyond, I will leave the link to their website in the description below, so you can go and check what kind of tools they have and what the software is capable of. And if you want to learn this software, then all you have to do is to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and stick around because we are going to be doing some mine design in this software. So I don't want to make this too long for you, so I'm going to split this into two videos. The first video is going to be about pit design, or the basics of pit design in Micromine, and the upcoming next video is going to be about waste dam design in Micromine. So if you know the basics of Micromine, this video might not be for you, but if you want to learn a new package, if you've been using other mining packages and you want to shift to Micromine, then this video is the right video for you. So let's get started. So the first thing that we will need is basically topography. So we have this DDM or wireframe that represents the topography. Now, I know that pit design, like there's multiple way of doing pit design and there are different preferences. It really depends on your needs and what you want to achieve. So for example, you will find people who are doing quarry design, for example, that they don't care too much about the grades. So the only limit or the only constraint that they will have is basically like a string that represents the area that they should not cross, and they care more about, let's say, slope stability and geotechnical issues other than grades and, you know, the optimal shell and so on. You will notice also that there are a lot of people, what they do is that they load the block model and they filter the high grades and they try to follow these high grades with different contours from the bottom all the way up to the topography, and they somehow consider that as the ultimate optimum, you know, pit shell, which could be or could not be. So, and some people do it the right way, which they use an optimizer and they add some, you know, economical parameters and some geotechnical parameters, and based on that they will get the ultimate pit shell that they will use as the basis for their detailed design. So whatever the method that you want to use, Micromine have the right tools to help you achieve your goals. So, and in this video we are going just to cover the basics. We're not getting into any of these, but I will try to show you where you can find the tools that you need, and then it's really up to you to decide how are you going to do this. So basically, not like in the other packages where you can just create a string and use the same string to make like a pit design. So in Micromine, the good thing is that we have like a pit file, so it's not the string that you're going to use for the design. Let me go and show you an example what I'm talking about. I'm going to be creating a string here, so let me go and save this, and I'm going to call this pit base, for example. Maybe this is the base of the pit that like the geologist or whoever sent us this, and he wants us to use this as the pit base. So you got the idea. So this is gonna be the pit base. Yes, I'm gonna override that one, and sorry for that. So let's go. In order to digitize something, I know that if you know the shortcuts, you can just, you know, use one of the shortcuts and start digitizing, but I want to show you and use the menus for people who are just getting started, because I know in most of these tutorials someone is going to be using shortcuts to start digitizing and clipping and smoothing the strings, and you will be in your mind thinking, how did you do that? Please, I want to see the real button for that, because I know your feeling. So let's go and show you how you can digitize something new. So basically you go to design, because we're designing something, And the good thing about Micromine with the new ribbon menu here, you notice that everything is structured, like all the tools that you need for the design, you'll find them under design. If you're doing anything related to drill holes, you know where to go. If you want to do some wireframings, you know that is going to be under wireframes and so on. This is really, really helpful, so you don't get lost when you're trying to search for something. So we can start with a new string or with a polygon. So let's start with a new string and tell you what is the difference here. So I'm going to use this string, and what you'll notice is that in all the different packages is that you can see that this is the plane that we're digitizing in. So for example, let's set this to, let's say, maybe 1,000 and go and start digitizing. Let's see, where are we here? So okay, so I'm gonna be digitizing a string here. Okay, and then I'm going to just click escape, so that's the string, but we need a closed one. You can right click and choose close string. But if we started with a polygon, so for example we start with a polygon, you'll notice is that when I finished, let's say here, it's going to be closed automatically. And that's the difference between an empty string, like a new string and a new polygon. And what you will notice is that the elevation is the elevation of the plane here that I've set. So it's all sitting, all this string is sitting at the elevation of 1,000. Okay, so let's open the topography and see where are we based on that. So that's really too far, so maybe let's change the elevation of this one, and you can see that it is really simple. It's just selecting the elevation in the property menu and change that to whatever you want. So let's say 1,500 for example. And where is that? Okay, 1,500 is not really that bad, but let's go and make it like 1,700 for example. That's too much. 1,600. I believe it's gonna be like 1,500. Leave it there. That's we're gonna be okay with that. So okay, so maybe we have this string. So usually in other packages you can go to this one and expand with a bench height and berm width and so on, and you start doing that using this string. But in Micromine you need to create what we call like a pit file or a pit design. You can see that we have a pit design file here. Let's go and create a new one. I'm going to call this pit design. Pit design. And what you will notice here, so pit design file can be used for both pit design or damp design. So you can see that the design mode is set to pit. So basically you can change that to damp if you're going for damp. So we're going to cover that in the next video. But now for the direction, if you have like the bottom of the pit, so basically you're going to be expanding up, and that's what we need here. But what if you have the, let's say, the top contour of the pit, the top crest of the pit? So basically you're going to change this to down, and you're going to be going down with the bench height and so on. So in our case we are going to use the pit base to go up to the topography. Let's go and choose up. Now so one good thing about Micromine is that let's say that you know that the into ramp angle needs to be, let's say, 36, okay, and you know that the better height, for example, is going to be 10. The better slope is needs to be, let's say, maybe 45, and the berm width, you don't know what is the berm width that's going to give you the into ramp angle. So you leave that empty and click on calculate, and now you know you need to use a berm width of 3.764 in order to get the into ramp. Okay, this into ramp. So let's say that you have maybe a berm width of 5, but you want to know how much is the into ramp angle for that. You can go and calculate that, and you can see that the into ramp is going to be 33.69, because this is basically what is used for geotechnical, for slope stability analysis. They most of the time they don't care about the better slope, but they use the into ramp angle, which is the overall angle of the pit. So let's leave this the way it is and leave everything else by default. We get to these menus probably in this video and show you what are the things in here. So let me go and click on OK. So you can see now that I have a pit design. Even the icon for that is different. So basically this is a string, this is a wireframe, and this is a pit design file. But now I have this one here that, so one thing I can do, you can see that is like a square here. So what I can do, I can go to design files and probably smooth this out. So, you know, if you're gonna do some string manipulations and you want to edit string, so you go to design. So this is where we find all the design tools, and we are going to edit this. So we can go to the editing, and you will notice that you have a bunch of tools in here that help you, like clip strings, drop it on the topography, like split it, and maybe add points or make a curve, or what can do is also smoothing. Okay, you can see that we have a smooth string here. So this is gonna be probably the base of our pit, but you can see that it is in the string, not in the pit. So do we have to do this again? No, we can copy this one to the new file. But one thing we need to make sure is, you can see that this one is written in bold, or if we right click, you can see that we have this one selected, which means that this is actually the active layer. And also this is the active layer here, it's this one. So whatever we digitize right now is gonna be digitized in the active layer. Okay, so if we want to activate this one, for example, we can right click and choose active layer. Or from the drop down menu here, you can choose whatever layer you want to activate. You can see that we have this bar in here. These are the different layers that we have, and this, if you want to create a new file type, let's say maybe a string, a point, or annotation, or pit design layer. So let's get back to this one and make the pit design the active layer. Then what we can do is we can go to design, and now let's go and select this one, and we choose copy to active layer. So what is going to happen here is we're going to copy this string to the active layer, which is the pit design. So let's do that. And you can see now we have like two overlaid strings. If we hide this one, you will notice that we have this string in here. Now, one thing you need to make sure inside the pit design file is that in the same file, the same pit design file, we have multiple types of strings. So you can see that we have string here that is set to empty, but we need to tell Micromine, in order to understand how to expand this, we need to tell it whether it is like a road string, or is it a toe string, or is it a crest string, or is it just a contour. So we need to choose whatever thing is right for us. In our case, since we are starting from the bottom and going all the way up, so we need to start with a toe string. So we are going to set this as the toe string. What you will notice is that the color of this is going to change based on what. So let's set this maybe to crest, and you can see now it is red. How do you know the colors? Then if I double click on the design, the pit design file here, if I go to display, you will notice all the different colors that you have in here. So this is the line width. You can play around with this one and change it to whatever you want. But we know that a toe is going to be in green, a crest is going to be in red, and the road is going to be in this color, the contours, and so on. So you have the idea. When we started this, it was other, it's going to be blue, like yellow. So none of these were selected. So this is basically going to be the toe string. And since the pit file is activated, what you will notice in the menu is that we have a new hidden menu that showed up in the main menu here, which tells us that we have a pit design activated now, and we have access to like the pit design tools in Micromine. And this is really a great option here in Micromine, since you don't have to have all the different tools stacked in the same menu. So whenever you need something, you activate. So if we activate the, let's say, the wireframe, you will notice that we have some more wireframing options here, which, you know, you can delete triangles and so on. And this menu changes with whatever operation that you're doing right now. So let's go back to the design and hide this one. Okay. So we have the mining tools or the pit design tools in Micromine here. You can see also that we have this table here that reminds us with the design criteria that we've set. So the direction is up, the berm width is 5, the better slope is 45, and the better height is 10, and so on. So we can change this whenever we want. So we can go, for example, with the let's say with the better slope of 45, and then in the next bench we decide to shift this to like 35 degrees, or it's really up to us to do that. So then what we can do is we have all the different expansion tools in here. So we are going to project the string. You can see that we have now the crest. And now what we need is to expand with the berm width, and we need to choose the crest. And you can see that we have the berm width, another toe, string here again, and then we need to project string again. And you can see that it is really that simple. Let's say that we don't want to just go up with one string and then expand and keep on clicking here and there. So let's say that we want to go with a project with the better height and with the berm width at the same time. We are going to use this option here, which is project to berm, and you can see that we're going to be projecting this, and this is really simple, and you will get a pit design in just few seconds. And we can go all the way up here. So we need to choose the toe string again and right click, and we can go and project this all the way up here, and you can see that we're starting to get a pit. So now you get an idea about how we can use a base string to create a pit design. So now let's go and see how we can actually add a ramp to this design. So basically, by the way, I was clicking Control Z to just undo. I believe that all the softwares have the same shortcut. So if you want to add a ramp, you can see that we have a full menu here for ramps. So it's really obvious that we need to click on this one to add a ramp. So let's click on Add Ramp. And another good thing about Micromine is if you want to start an operation, it's going to guide you. So you can see that the first thing that we need to do is to select a toe or pseudo toe to see available points. So we are going to select this toe string. And if you want to confirm, you can click on this one or right click, which is much more easier. Right click. And you can see now we finished that first request. And now the second thing is we need to select a blue point to add a road. So we can choose where we need to start the design. So let's go and choose this one, for example. And you can see that we have a new window here that shows us all the different criteria for the road design. So the width, we are going to keep that 12. The gradient, it could be 8, it could be, 10, whatever is your preferences. And the gradient units, it could be in degrees, percent, and whatever option that you want, okay? Now, you can see that we have the possibility to generate a clockwise ramp, or if you uncheck this one, it's going to be anti-clockwise ramp. So the road length calculation, if you want to report that later on, you want to report the length based on the inner, the inner side of the road, or the center line of the road, or the outer, or you can set a custom, value in here. Also, you have the option to add, a flat section you know, at the starting or at the end of each berm. So you can add a flat section. Let's say, let's actually go and do that and make a flat section of 10 meters in the next bench transition. And what you can also do is you can widen by berm width, or you can shorten by berm width. So this means that in the intersection with the berm and the road, you wanna add the berm width to the road, or you wanna just close it with the road, so it's gonna be like some sort of a triangles in the end there. So let's go and choose maybe widen by berm axis. Okay, so let's go and click on OK. Now what you can see is that now we have, this is the width of the ramp. And now if we go and project again, you can see that Micromine is creating the ramp interactively. And what this is basically the flat section that we've added. And now what we choose in widen by berm width, you can see that we have, this is the width of the ramp. And you can see that we have you know, an accessible berm in here. So if you want to circulate in this berm, so you are going to widen by berm you know, width. But the other option is basically is going to be something like this, okay, just to give you an idea. So it's going to be something like this, shorten by berm width. So this berm is not going to be accessible by the ramp. So you got the idea. Okay, so now if we go and expand this, you can see that the ramp is going to be created interactively, and you can see also that we have this flat, you know, this flat section in here. Maybe because sometimes when you use like a very steep, you know, ramp gradient, you don't want this to go all the way down because that's really dangerous. So what you do is you add these flat, you know, sections in here in the design. So this is how to add a road, or I mean like a ramp, and it is really that easy. So let's go back down a little bit and see how to add what we call switchback. So let's say that maybe this area is really sensitive and you don't want your engines to be circulating in this area, and you want them always to be on this side. So you don't want the ramp to go and turn around, so you want to create what we call a switchback that will make this ramp you know, ramp turns and goes all the way back here. So how to do that? By the way, you see me turning this and viewing the top, the right. So the shortcuts for these is T for top view, R for right, you know, for the right view here, and L for the left view. Basically T for top, R for right, and L for left. That's a really good shortcut, Micromine. Okay, so let's add a switchback. To add a switchback, all you have to do is you go to add flat switchback here, and we need to choose a toe again. Basically, if now you notice that Micromine is always asking me to choose a toe string, but if we started from the top all the way going to the bottom, it's going to be asking me, you know, to choose a crest, because we are starting from the top going all the way to the bottom. So the first and initial string is going to be the crest string, not the toe one. So let's click right click and choose the red points means that there's a ramp there. So that's how to know that there's a ramp that starts from that point. So let's choose this red point, and you can see now we have the curve radius. So we're gonna have like half a circle in here. So I said we're gonna use like we're gonna make like half a circle in here to turn this around. And we have, so circles have radius, and Micromine is asking us what is the radius of that, you know, half a circle, or that switchback that we're gonna use in here. So the radius is set to 10, but you'll notice that when we do this, there will be like, so you can see that in the ramp we have two different strings. We have this inner one, and I mean the inner one, and we have the outer one. So the same thing for the switchback. We have the inner, and we have the center, we have the outer also. So this radius is basically for the inner circle right now. You can choose, for example, the outer one or the center, whatever you want. So in our case, let's keep that to the inner. And of course, you're gonna do your own calculations to know what is the best. So I'm using some random values in here. So if you see me use 10, for example, it doesn't mean that you need to use 10 in your design, because there are different ways of calculating this, or the optimal radius that you want to use, and whether you want to use an inner or an outer radius. So let's choose 10, for example. And you can see that was created automatically. And now if I go and expand this again, you can see that our ramp is going all the way around this one and goes again. And what we can do also, we can add another switchback here, so because we don't want to access this area. Okay, so this is the basically how to create a simple pit design in Micromine. And some people will be asking about what about geotechnical constraints. So for example, let's say this area, I need this to be 45 degrees, and I want this area, let's say, to be, I don't know, like 36 degrees. And there are different reasons for that. Maybe there's like some fractures in here, or maybe there's different geological layers here that when doing the slope stability analysis, we cannot go to we cannot use like 45 degrees, so we need to use 36 degrees in here. So that's also possible inside Micromine, and I will do my best to show you how we can do this. I don't want to make this tutorial like very long one, and so let me go. And yeah, by the way, when you're selecting in Micromine, so for example, if I go and do this, so you can see I'm going from the left all the way to the right, you can see that I cannot select these, because if you select this one, unless the full string is selected, it's going to be selected. If it's just part of it selected, it's not going to be selected. But if I go from the bottom left right corner all the way to the top corner, you can see that it's a dashed line. So if I just touch these two, you can see that I can select these two. So that's even in selection, there are different ways to do that in Micromine. So let's go and delete these and keep only the or I should have just gone with Control Z. Sorry for that. Okay, so this is the initial string. Let's say that I want this part to be, let's say, 36 and this part to be 45. So what I can do is I can go and maybe I will hide this, and I will use this string here to create something new. So I'm gonna go and activate this layer here, and then I'm gonna go to design, and I'm going to create a polygon in this area. Okay, so this polygon, so let's say in this area I want to use different slopes or whatever. Okay, so what I can do is I'm going to maybe set the elevation of this one to like 1000, let's say 600, and it's a little bit higher than the toe string. And then what I want to do is I'm going to right click and choose copy move string. Now make sure that you're on the top view. So I'm gonna go and do that again, copy move string. I want to copy the string, I don't want to move it, and I want the perpendicular distance. I'm gonna choose the distance of, let's say, 600 and click on OK. Oh, that's too much, but don't worry. So you can see that the elevation is set to 1000. I'm going to set this to 1400, and I believe that's maybe 1500, or let's keep it at 1450 probably, and that's really not bad. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to create a wireframe using these. So let me go to wireframe and choose new. Okay, and I'm gonna click on this one, and then I click on this one, and you can see that I have a wireframe. Now I'm gonna go, you can see, since we're creating wireframes now, the hidden menu is now for wireframing, and we are going to close the end. And you can see that we've closed that end. I'm gonna go and close the end again and see if that's gonna work. No, it's not. So let me go and close holes. And now we have a wireframe that we can use for the constraint part, okay? So I'm gonna go and save this one, and I'm gonna save it in tutorials, and I'm gonna call this maybe geotech, and click on OK. Okay, so now what we can do is, let me hide this one and hide the string, and go to this one, and I'm gonna go and activate the pit design. Click on activate, and go double click, and in the second panel here inside the pit that we said that we're gonna cover, that we have variable constraints. Okay, so which means that we are going to apply different constraints based on either a block model or a wireframe. So we are going to activate this one and choose wireframes, because we just built a wireframe that we are going to use that to constrain our pit design. So let me go and delete all of these and do that from scratch. So currently we have a 45 degrees, so let's go and apply let's say 36 degrees, and the berm, it was like 5. Let's use a berm of 3. Let me go use a berm of 3. Sorry for the dogs in the background, I cannot do anything about that. So the type here is going to be inside tutorials, and I'm gonna use geotech. That's the wireframe that we've just created, and let's go and click on OK. Now what you will notice is, if I go and use project to berm, you can see that we have some changes inside that area. Okay, inside that area now we have a slope of 36 here and a 45 degrees in here. We have a berm of 3 in here, and we have a berm of 5 in there. So if we go and continue to project this, and you can see that we've applied a geotechnical constraint in here easily with Micromine. So one thing to note here is that when you're doing the design, always try to make sure that you have like smooth curves and so on. So what you can do is you can follow the design. So let's say in here, for example, everything is okay. Like go and project that one, and you can see that we can go and probably delete these points here. And one thing to like make sure that you don't do this mistake, if you want to change things manually in the design, unless it is like it was a point like that one, make sure if you're starting from the bottom all the way to the top, make sure to change the toe string. Don't touch the crest string, because that's going to change the slope, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, if you change this one, let's say want to make it, sorry for that, let's say we want to make something like this. Maybe there's a spot here that we want to cover, and because if you have like let's say a wider bench in here, it's not really that issue from a geotechnical perspective. But if you change the slopes, you may be causing a slope failure in that location. So let me go up again, and you can see that we still have the same slopes, but we have this area that we needed to cover something in there, and we can go all the way up, and you can see that these are changing interactively. You can fix that one if you want, and that's how to add a geotechnical constraint inside Micromine. Also, you can do the same thing but with a block model, and now you can load a block model, and you can follow all the different grades by filtering out specific grades in a specific attributes if you want. So that's for the geotech. Another thing that we can do here is, I believe I have a video that covers that already, which is build to shell. So for example, if you are the one that does the pit design the right way, and you have an optimizer, you've done optimization, and you have the shell that you want to follow, what you can do is that you can load that shell, that wireframe here, and you can set the different the elevations, the height, the better slope, and the berm width, and so on. And then later on, when you're doing the design, you will notice that the design is following, with the design criteria, of course, is following that pit shell that you've just inserted in here. So later on, so this is basically how to create all the different strings. And if you're happy with the, let me go to this one, and I don't want the variable constraints anymore, so, and click on OK. I'm going to just delete these, and I'm going to add a ramp here, and I'm gonna go all the way up. Let me see if I cross the topo. Yeah, that's one. Another thing is, if you want to cut the pit with the topography, make sure that when you're doing the string design here, make sure that your string is going across all the topography, because later on when you're going to clip it, then there need to be intersection in all of the pit. The full pit is intersecting the topography. So now let's go and create maybe a wireframe out of this pit. So to do that, we need to go to DDM, and we can use the interactive new DDM, and we are going to select everything and right click, select an optional restriction string. We are going to use this one, which means that the DDM that we're going to create is going to be clipped by this outer string. And let's click on OK. And I'm going to call this maybe pit design, and click on OK. And you can see now that we have a wireframe that is looking great for the pit, with all the different flat sections in there. And let's say that we want to clip this pit with the topography. We can open the topography here, and you can see that they are intersecting. And let's go to the top view, and to do any Boolean operation in Micromine, you can go to wireframe, and there are two options. Either you go with Boolean and choose which one is on the bottom, which one on the top, or maybe which one you want to keep, which one you want to throw, or we can do it interactively, which is what I really like doing with Micromine. So let's go in interactive, and you can see that the option here is to select the intersecting wireframe. I'm going to select both of these and right click. And now Micromine is going to give you the option to choose whatever the wireframe that you want to keep. So I'm going to go and keep this one and save it. And I'm going to call this pit cut. Okay. And I'm going to hide it from this. And what I need also is this one combined with this one. Maybe you want to calculate the volume. So I'm going to go and save this and call this pit volume, and save this. And I'm going to hide this again and choose this one and save it again. Call this topo cut pit. Maybe it's really up to you how we want to name these. And I'm going to clip that and click on OK. Now let's hide the topography and let's hide the design. You can see that this is the clip topography, and you can see that this is the pit volume. If I want to make sure that this is valid, I'm going to select this one and click on Q or choose validate. So you can see that we don't have any intersection or anything. And a good thing is Micromine is gonna, if the volume is valid, we're gonna have a volume for that, and you can see that we have a volume in here, and that's great. And so also we have the pit cut in here. We can also make a wireframe for the combination of both of these, and this is how you can do pit design in Micromine. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you, and if you guys like this one, I will make the second part in which you will see the damp design in Micromine. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one.